Hi, I'm Cale Carlson. Welcome back to Lead Farms. This is my mom and dad's farm. Well, my dad passed away. Oh, I'm getting in the weeds already. Sorry about that. Mom owns this farm now. It's not my farm. I have Lead Farms that farms next to C. Carlson Farms. Oh, this is too complicated. We'll just call it my farm for now, even though I own a little bit of it, but not much of it. Getting into the weeds. That was a terrible introduction. I apologize. Plus, it's windy. Today, I want to talk about NH3, Anhydrous Ammonia, fertilizer for corn. I've got a cool setup with lots of technology, and I kind of want to dive in and show you guys, because I think you might be interested. I did get the sprayer back home. I'd like to get that in the shop. But why don't we head to the field, and I will show you all about this wonderful operation. Okay, first off, this is a disc knife opener. So there is this big wheel disc that goes around and cuts through corn residue. And then you've got this little plate here. I'll show you that these run at an angle. So they're angled, let's see, this direction. So it makes a little gap in the dirt. And then this part, this foot and this knife that run a little bit in the angle, knife in the anhydrous. See that tube right there? That is where the anhydrous ammonia comes out, and it's delivered through this system. So this tank is full of liquid anhydrous. It goes through here into a cooler, and then it's put through a hydraulic pump that increases the pressure, and then it goes out to 15 different row units under pressure, because we want to keep it in liquid form all the way down into the ground. So we're knifing in liquid. Remember, anhydrous boils at negative 250 degrees. Check my math on that. Somebody Google search it and type in the comments what the boiling point of anhydrous actually is. I'll get in the cab and explain a little bit more. Anyway, you want to keep it in liquid form until you get it into the ground. Once it gets in the ground, we seal it off with this little packer and these little packers right here, and then so that it stays in the ground until the corn plant needs it. We'll get this operation fired up. All right, kids, put your scientific hats on. I'm going to run you through this process of what I have in that tank right out here. I thought I could do it. Out of the Nebraska wind. That product is anhydrous ammonia. Anhydrous, which means without water, probably Latin. So there is zero water in this chemical compound. So what happens when I put it into the soil, and what chemical reaction takes place? NH3, since it doesn't have water, it's super attracted to water. So once it gets into my moisture-laden soils, it finds the water, which is H2O, and it grabs one of the hydrogens from H2O, from water, and it creates ammonium. All of a sudden, this process, what I'm doing out here, goes to NH4. We had NH3, nitrogen, and then 3 hydrogen molecules roaming around it. Now we have NH4, so you have 4 hydrogen molecules roaming around it, which is the classroom scientific method of what does that mean, Cale? My corn plants need nitrogen. Corn plant is a grassous species, so your grass, sorghum, wheat, corn, it's in that classification, so it needs nitrogen to be very bountiful and productive. So what happens when you have ammonium? Bacteria in the soil will break ammonium down and convert it in a natural process to nitrogen that my corn plants can use. So it's simple math, sounds kind of complex, but it's also really neat. This is just a little visual for you guys as well. Cool thing about soybeans, they fix their own nitrogen. They are a legume. So follow somebody else along for more interesting content, but this is just what I can remember off the top of my head. This is essentially how I get nitrogen to my corn plants. Remember, nitrogen is our most abundant in the atmosphere. 78% of our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen. What else? When I'm in the tractor, my brain will get thinking and I'll be able to give you some more facts and figure about raising corn production. Okay, to unfold this particular machine, I go number 2 hydraulic, and it will fold down both wings and then the outer wings unfold here. So this is a 15 row machine set up on 30-inch spacing. So it is 37.5 wide, and I will try not to drive in the ditch as I hold the camera and show you how this works. Those unfold and then lock into place, and then the wings have a little bit of flex. As you can see right there, they're able to go in and out. Well, here, I'll show you right there by driving into the ditch. You can see it can flex lower with the contour of the ground. Now that my machine is unfolded, I close that hydraulic up and I move to hydraulic number 3, and that lowers my slicing blades down into the ground, into the soil. So we'll try to show you here that with hydraulic pressure, it will press those into the soil, and you can see the disc move right there. Okay, I apologize again for the wind. I did not bring my microphones. I apologize, so I will just yell at you. As you can see, there's a little bit of angle to this disc, so it creates a little gap. So the hose and that knife, so the anhydrous travels through this hose and it shoots it right down underneath there. So that's where the anhydrous ammonia goes, and then this packs it to the right, this packs it to the left to seal it off in this trench. My corn will be planted right here on top of the ridge, and I put the fertilizer on either side. This is where the old soybean row was in the past. So these are the 15 row units. Okay, so I have the hydraulic button number 3 pressed all the way down, so it's applying hydraulic pressure to my openers. And if we go over here, you can see that it's putting 975 pounds on the center and 975 pounds on the wings, and we will zoom in to those 2 gauges. They're reading right at 1,000 right now, but that gives me 1,000 pounds of down pressure on the center of the implement and the wings. And then if we go to the openers right here, it looks like 25 PSI, not necessarily pounds, are adjusting that, and it will constantly adjust the monitor, and I can move it from inside the cab how much down pressure or cutting force I want that to have. On to the next gauges. So coming from the tank, it first goes into the cooling tower, and I can't quite remember why we need to cool it. It uses the anhydrous ammonia itself. It's a natural refrigerant, but it goes into a cooling tower, kind of like a radiator, to keep the rest of the product cool enough. I believe that's to keep it condensed into a liquid all the way through the system until it gets into the ground. After that, it will go into that hydraulic pump, and you can see right there, we're a little bit below the green, and I think that's 100 pounds. And you obviously want to run in the green, not the yellow or the red. And then, so that hydraulic pump is pressurizing it to go into this right there. We're not putting on very much right now, so it's running pretty low pressure. And then it goes into those 15 hoses and then goes out to this gauge tree where I have 15 gauges reading the pressure. So if one line plugs, I will instantly see it and know what row it is. That's a very handy device, making sure everything is working properly. Okay, I am able to variable rate this product on this field. Now I'm doing this kind of backwards, so I'm doing a new trial on this field. So this is pros only. This is professional. This is the first year I'm doing it, so I'll kind of walk through. This is different than a normal variable rate spread. So normally, here, let's go skip ahead where I'll be going today. So this is a field that I'll go over and finish. And this is what the map looks like. And this is based on organic matter, soil type, and I actually had this grid sampled. And so all of these data points, I took a soil sample, and so we found out in that sample how much nitrogen is in from the year before, how much does it need, and it takes into account organic matter and mineralization. Lots of factors go in to kale trying to grow 260 or 280 bushels per acre. So some parts of the field needs more nitrogen, other parts need less. So that saves me money on fertilizer. It's certainly better for the environment. It will get less leaching of nitrogen ending up in groundwater. So all things above, economically and environmentally, this is a really good way to go. I'm glad to be here, so we're not wasting any money or wasting any fertilizer, and I'm doing the best for the crop. Now, on to this super secret trial. Let me make sure everything's working. Well, okay, I'll just explain it real quick, and then we'll have to flip it and reverse it when I get to, in a couple hours, to the other side of the field. Sorry, I'm explaining it backwards. Okay, this is what we're doing on the home field. As you can see, there's the home field pivot. Here's the home field. We are right here driving this way. So what I'm doing is just putting on a blanket rate. I know they're different colors. This is the soil types. I'm just doing a blanket rate of 90 pounds on everything everywhere except for these squares. In these blocks, I'm putting on a lot less, 60 pounds, and a lot more. 150 pounds in the red. I'm sorry, 150 pounds in the green, 60 pounds in the red. And we're gonna watch it all summer long, every day, with highly intelligent satellite imagery, and we're gonna be looking at the crop, and the crop is gonna tell me, hey, I'm starting to get nitrogen deficient. I'm starving, I need more nitrogen. So what we will do is through the pivot, and that yellow tank right there is, I will apply the rest of the nitrogen, spoon feed it to it, to give it what it needs when it needs at the right timing. And our goal here is to use less pounds of nitrogen per bushel. The standard rule of thumb university is 0.91, like 1 pound of nitrogen equals 1 bushel. That's been the industry standard for a long time. Some guys got away with doing 0.9. Other people say it takes 1.1 of nitrogen to create 1 bushel of corn. I think what we're gonna do on this field, we're trying to get away with half a pound of nitrogen per bushel of corn, or 0.6. My goodness, we are going through a draw here that I need to fix, a washout where we need to fill with dirt, pardon me as I farm, and explain things really quick. You can see that rut cavern there. Anyway, so here again, we're pushing the boundaries of science to see how little we can put out here and how much we can get from it. So using variable rate, GPS location, satellites, anhydrous ammonia, and then liquid fertilizer, all of those combinations, we can maybe get away with pushing the foundation, frontiers of science, to do a lot more with a lot less. Follow along this year to see if we make it. This will be really cool. I can't even remember the name of the company that we're doing this with. Shouldn't mention it because I can't remember. Apologize to the company, but follow along, we'll see what it looks like. All right, here you can see we're shooting for 90 pounds and we're putting on 90 pounds, and that will adjust based on pressure, based on tractor speed, and a number of other things. here is the test plot where, so everywhere else I'm putting on 90 pounds. Here I did 150 and there I did 60. Right over there where I put some flags, but we're tracking all of this information in here so that they built these VRT files for me, and I plugged them in and put it in my John Deere monitor. And so John Deere with the Green Star rate controller is doing all the anhydrous. So once I have it applied, I'll take all that information and send it back to the company. N time, the letter N and then time is the name of the product. That might be the name of the company. That's who I'm working with through my local co-op. I really don't know much about it. I was late to the game. I'm just jumping into it right before I fertilized this field. I'm like, let's do it. So I'm learning, we're all learning together. That's what I know about it. So yeah, everything is just adjusted automatically, and I'm just watching my hydraulic pressure and all the other pressures out there, and tank pressure. And everything is working really well right now. So good job. All we have to do is rinse and repeat and just go up and down, back and forth, making sure everything is functioning. Oh, here's my Autosteer, using Auto Farm to Autosteer, and that's what that monitor is. So John Deere slave monitor over here, so I can, you know, I can put the tractor controls, I can flip it and put it up here, or put these tractor controls back down here. It's just, I'm a big fan of lots of extra monitors, so each monitor is monitoring an operation, so I don't have to flip screens. Some guys like to have just one monitor, and we certainly could run everything through this, but then you have to constantly scroll through screens to do your auto steer, to do your fertilizing, and your tractor hydraulics. Oh, my foot switch down here, that's how you turn on and turn off the anhydrous ammonia. I forgot to tell you that. Electrical switch, all tied in, mostly John Deere. Love this system, love this setup. It is a fantastic applicator. This works here real quick. You can see that a darker red line, and so I press this button, that light goes green, so the auto steer is turned on, and my tires will turn into the correct line, correct path. Ignore that. So now I'm painting and going the right way. Lower, foot switch turn on, the hydraulic pump is already going, and then I just speed up, and then you will watch the pressures rise the faster I go. And here again in soybean ground, oh, I should bring that up too. Soybean ground is a legume. It fixes its own nitrogen, and so after soybeans are harvested, it left nitrogen in the field. One of the reasons we only need to put on 90 pounds for a 280 bushel crop is because there's already about 40 or 50 pounds credit out here because of the soybeans. And that's one of the reasons you will see growers grow corn beans, corn beans, corn beans, because they fit together really well. 1 year of corn, 1 year of beans. It works out really well. We don't have to put on as much fertilizer because naturally it's already out here. Disclaimer, if you are a chemical engineer, a biologist, a crop consultant, or Orvin Bontrager, and I misspoke or gave a statistic wrong or didn't explain it quite right, please, I won't be offended. Drop down in the comments below and correct me. This is a learning opportunity for my kids, for me, for everybody out here. So if you find something that I said that wasn't quite right, go ahead and correct me. Let's get this right. Do Google search, do chat GPT, fill in all of my answers and see what kind of questions that it can spit out. I have a couple more. Let's see, I already talked about 78%. There's something else I want to say about, oh, safety. Hold, please. One of the reasons I love anhydrous ammonia and I put up with it is because it's one of the most efficient and cheapest forms of nitrogen for a farmer to grow corn or crops. It is in a gallon, or let's see, in a gallon or a pound of anhydrous, it's 82% nitrogen. So it's the highest form of nitrogen. I just mentioned we'll be doing liquid through the pivot. That is 28 or 32% nitrogen per volume of product, and there's other ones a lot less. So this gives us the largest bang for the buck, and it's usually the cheapest, most inexpensive form of nitrogen for my crop. Here's something neat that you guys might want to see. Yes, always look silly or fashionable when working around anhydrous ammonia. This is to protect my eyes, but this is a hitch of how I'm hooking up. So I will back the implement up to the tanks. Side note, I was pulling only a single, and a lot of times the co-ops will pull doubles. So I backed that single up, pros only, to the double and hooked it up for the co-op guy so he doesn't have to do it with a pickup. It's a lot more harder with a pickup. Anyway, this device right here, if you lift up on this pin, it pulls it out, so it allows this hitch to swing freely that way and in and out. So all I have to do is get close, and then this hitch, because it's super heavy on the axles, I can't move it. So if I, with one camera hand, I can, and a thigh, we can move that in there like so. And then what you do is drop this pin down, and it's spring loaded. So when I back the tractor up, this will slide in and it'll drop through this hole. And so it will stop going that way, and then it'll drop through another hole to slide it that way. So essentially it'll look like this. Oh, hold on a second. So once it's in, it'll slide in and lock, and then lock. Where's one of my kids to be a cameraman, or my mount or stand? I actually have two hoses here. Since this is a double tank and it's got two openings, I can run off one hose or two. When we move to the next field, having two will get me a lot higher volume and gallonage, so that'll be necessary. So we'll go ahead and hook that all up.